Welcome to the Beer Buzz Podcast, the podcast that brings the craft beer community together. Join us as we dive into the world of craft beer, exploring its rich history, unique flavors, and the passionate individuals who brew it. Each episode, we'll sit down with the industry experts, brewers, and beer enthusiasts to discuss the latest trends, share stories, and uncover hidden gems in the craft beer scene. Whether you're a seasoned beer connoisseur or just starting your craft beer journey, this podcast is for you. Get ready to pull up a chair, grab a cold one, and immerse yourself in the captivating world of craft beer. So tune in and let's talk beer. What's going on, and welcome to the Beer Buzz Podcast. I am your host, Dakota. Joining me all the way from Wisconsin is my co-host, Pete. What's going on, boss?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Dude, it has been a hot minute since we recorded a podcast, and I have to first apologize, first and foremost. It was definitely my fault. Pete has been chomping at the bits to record another podcast. For some reason, the month of January just wasn't my month. I came down with some shit and lost my voice for about 2.5 weeks. So I know it may pain a lot of people to hear me talk, but I'm so glad to have a voice back. So thanks for hanging on, Pete. I appreciate your patience, and
I wasn't sure if we were coming back, but we're back, guys. We're definitely back. His voice is, I wouldn't say 100%, right? But you're right about there, right?
Yeah, we're about 90%. Like I have a voice, I have a tone. At one point, it felt like I was getting stepped on every time.
Yeah. No, I'm just glad you're back. I'm glad you're feeling better.
I am too. I enjoy doing this with you, and to only do one episode and then have a nice little hiatus sucked. But nonetheless, we are back, and we're ready to talk about beer. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this podcast. First and foremost, Pete, in between those little 4 weeks we had off, I got to see your happy ass in Wisconsin. Isn't that right?
That's right. Yeah, this past weekend. Didn't expect it. I didn't think you were actually going to come up because you're under the weather, but I'm glad you made it happen.
I wanted to make it happen. For the longest time, I wanted to go to Wisconsin. I want to visit every state if I could, but Wisconsin has been on the list for a long time, and obviously you moving back, and with the exception of Brennan too, I got to go there this weekend, and it was fun, dude. I enjoyed it. We got to do some touristy shit, but we got to go to some breweries. I think we went to Mobcraft. Where's the other one we went to?
Mobcraft, and we went to Eagle Park.
That's right. That was one of your recommendations, is it not?
Yeah, it was my recommendation. To me, still one of the best breweries in Milwaukee. I mean, really good hazies, though. You didn't try a hazy, did you? You didn't get a hazy.
I know. Here's my thing. Here's my thing. I did try a couple sips of a couple of your hazies. I'm a sour guy through and through. There's something about a fruity beer. So I know there's going to be a lot of hate. People are like, that's not a beer. It is a beer, whatever. It's whatever you like to drink.
Yep.
But yeah, we went to Eagle Park. You were like, you got to go. And we ended up going on trivia night, so it got pretty packed pretty quick. But no, I thoroughly enjoyed the atmosphere. Wisconsin alone kind of blew me away just by the atmosphere. Everything is just like big. Everything, it's like I've never been to Texas, so I can't speak on that part. Remember how they always say everything's bigger in Texas? But like Wisconsin, everything's ginormous.
Yeah, definitely.
Like the city, downtown Milwaukee, insane. Going to Miller Park, I was like, what the fuck is this? Like,
you've never seen Miller Park before?
I mean, I've seen Miller Park like from a
distance,
video or like
gotcha, sure.
Watching a Brewers game with the Cardinals, but never actually like standing at American Family Field. It was cool.
Yeah. Yeah, you gotta come back up. I think we are, right? We're gonna do a Cardinals Brewers game when you come back up in the springtime here.
You told me you told me I never experienced a tailgate. Is that right?
Do a little tailgating. I know. I told him that he's never experienced tailgating, but then I kind of remember that he's in St. Louis. He's a big Kansas City Chiefs fan, and Arrowhead Stadium has a huge parking lot. So yeah, he's done plenty of tailgating.
But that's the only time I've ever tailgated. Like when you said we tailgate for like a Brewers game, I'm like, what the fuck you mean you're tailgating?
Yeah,
like, that's not allowed here in St. Louis.
You know, you're getting your glove. You're gonna maybe throw the ball around while your buddy's lighting up a charcoal grill. You're doing burgers or brats. You're pre-gaming. You're drinking a shit ton of PBR before the game starts or whatever you want to drink. I mean, yeah. Dude, and everybody's doing that. It's in the summertime. It's like the best feeling ever. before the game, just freaking getting hammered. And because once you get into that stadium, man, and you go to get yourself a beer, $12, man, $12 for a 24-ounce or whatever, those tall boys.
Yeah, that's what you were saying. Is like when I experienced tailgating, I was
Yeah,
like, yo, we pregame at like Ballpark Village. We go to like a restaurant or two.
yeah.
You're like, no, we're doing this in the parking lot. And I was like, no, dude, like that's not even the thing here. So like, I want to experience that. Will I get some hate being among the Brewers faithful? Absolutely. I can't imagine me going to American Family Field, walking around in the Cardinals powder blue jersey, and then being like, oh my gosh, welcome. So I'm excited to see it. I'm excited to experience it.
I'm gonna apologize now, guys, for if you guys hear anything in the background on my mic. I got a crazy cat in the background, so if you guys hear some meows, my microphone picks up a lot. I got this cat down here. He's going crazy.
So Pete is a crazy cat.
I
Man,
apologize for a couple meows. Dakota's gonna be editing this later. He's like, "Damn it, Pete."
it's okay. The meows are fine. Everything else in between. I got a couple dogs that might be going wild here in a minute, but yeah, we do apologize for the little difference in tones if you hear a meow or a bark from time to time. But yeah, so yeah, going to Wisconsin, man, I'm definitely coming back. I've already kind of talked about going to a Milwaukee Bucks game,
Nice.
and going to a couple more breweries because
Yeah.
I don't think I actually got the brewery experience in Wisconsin.
No, when we went to I mean, did you go to any other breweries besides the ones we went to, or?
No, I've heard about Lakefront. I've heard about. We obviously went to Eagle
You
Park.
know,
Like, there's so many more.
and that was a Monday night. You were here. We were out, guys, and most of these breweries close at 9 o'clock, so we were kind of limited. But I mean, I'm glad we made our way to Mobcraft, and if anybody watches my TikToks, I did that advent calendar for them, and their beer is so. I don't want to talk mad shit about them, but you know, their brewery's all right. It's decent. Dakota, what do you think about their beers?
I'll go from the outside looking in. Going to a brewery outside of St. Louis is something I've never done. Maybe a couple times in Kansas City. I've done a couple in Spokane, but like I always kind of like try to go in with like a level playing field. I first, I want to see the ambiance, right? Every brewery looks different, right? They all have a different tap room. I thought it was super spacious. I could see myself, pulling up a chair and drinking a couple beers, maybe watching a football game there. Very cool ambiance. The beer itself, I've had better. And again, I'm not trying to shit talk anybody. Like everybody makes and puts in a shit ton of work when it comes to brewing beer. It's just like I feel like the ambiance has to match the beer, right?
Yeah.
Or vice versa. If anything, the beer has to be better than the ambiance.
And the spot was cool, right? Mobcraft. I mean, cool spot.
Yeah, no, it was super cool. I don't even know what area that is, particular, but it was cool. It was a cool area. It was downtown, right?
Yeah, it was downtown. I was trying to think of they have it's a different. I think it's called Walker's Point. I think that's what the neighborhood was called, Walker's Point.
Okay.
Downtown, yeah, very close to downtown Milwaukee. I mean, right down the street. I mean, when we went to the next brewery, Eagle Park. I mean, that was just a quick little drive.
And that's what I think is what made me like Wisconsin a little bit more. You're like, hey, we're gonna go to a brewery. 3 minutes later, we're there, right?
Yeah.
Now it's the same way in St. Louis, but like being in a different city and like seeing a different city from that aspect, also going to a different brewery in that like that city, way cooler. So yeah, we went traveled to go to Eagle Park. That was Pete's recommendation, and again, Pete's drank way more beers. He's been on this earth way more than I have, so I feel like I should trust that recommendation. It was great.
Yeah, I mean, and you got 3 sours. I think I got a couple IPAs. I think we kind of all shared, kind of all got to taste a little bit of everything. And I mean, Eagle Park makes some great sours. And I think what'd you get? Like a fruit punch sour. I think maybe
Fruit punch sour. Yep,
raspberry cheesecake sour.
Yeah, Brennan got one. I got two to try, and each one of them that I tried, I thought had a really nice flavor. Would you say they were Berliner Weisses or no? They were just sours.
Those were just sours. Yeah, fruited sours.
Is it so? Technically, would that be a kettle sour, or it has to use a kettle?
Yeah, it's got to be kettle. Kettle's got salt, right? And isn't it like a goza and a kettle? Aren't they kind of similar?
I think so. We might Again, we might be wrong, but again,
Yeah.
it's for everybody to decide. We're not the experts. We will have experts on this podcast, but until then, we're going to tread lightly. But no, I thoroughly enjoyed all those beers. Like I said, I had a couple sips of your beers, and I thought that they were nice. I always enjoy trying IPAs because here's my thing. You'll have the same IPA probably twice. Like you'll have one IPA in your lifetime where you're like, I've had this before. So I don't know where it was. I don't know how I have. But each IPA has its own flavor, right? It
Yeah.
could be citrusy, it could be a little hoppier than what you expect. Like there's so many integrations of hops nowadays. I can't even. I think I can name like maybe 15 off the top of my head, but there's so many.
I know. And they're using
And
the experimental hops that are new now that I don't even know what the fuck that shit is, man. Like HBC 1000. I mean, there's just a lot of crazy fucking names out there, dude.
and the cool thing too is like the experimental hops, and then you're getting experimental yeast. People are using different yeasts,
Yeah.
right? So like again, you're gonna have the same beer twice, maybe, but when you're having those experimental hops, you're having those different hop variations with shit. It could be the length of the brew. It could be the fucking glass it's poured in. Fuck, it could be the goddamn air that affects the way you taste it. Like
Mm-hmm.
each IPA tastes differently, and I love New England style IPAs. I love hazies. I think West Coasts are great, but I'm more of like New England style IPA. What about you,
Yeah.
Pete?
I'm like that. I'm like that too, man. But it's starting to grow on me. West Coast IPAs are starting to grow on me. I think they're, I always in my mind thought they were like going to be super bitter, super piney, and super, dank. But I've had quite a bit now, and a lot of them can be nice and tropical and kind of sweet, but then also that dank that everybody loves.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let's do a little quick preview. So I know that we've discussed at least the first episode that you're a Green Bay Packers fan, and I do apologize for seeing you take a quick exit from San Francisco. So let's do a
Yeah,
quick little
let's not talk about it.
let's do a quick little preview. All right. So what's your mentality going into this weekend as a football fan from the 49ers and the Kansas City Chiefs aspect? What are you hoping to see? What are you hoping to not see?
Well, I guess I'm just hoping for a fair game, fair, solid game.
Yeah.
Not, a good high scoring game would be great, and if the Chiefs win, good for them. Good for Patrick Mahomes. They didn't have that great of a season, not like last year, but they've shown that they're super competitive every time they go out there, and they play pretty well, man. I mean, if they win, matter of fact, I'd rather have the Chiefs win than the 49ers. I'm not a big 49ers fan, so I guess you'll never hear me say this, but go fucking Chiefs.
I'm going to clip that and I will send that to you every minute of the Super Bowl.
Great.
It's one of those things. Pete and I have playful banter back and forth. He's a Wisconsin guy through and through. So obviously he's a Wisconsin guy. So the Milwaukee Brewers, the Packers, he's a fan, right? So we'll banter back and forth. St. Louis Cardinals for me, St. Louis Blues. They don't have a hockey team in Wisconsin, so he's got no ground to stand on. But hearing him say "Let's go Chiefs" is big for him. I know he's fucking either he's crossing his fingers under the table or.
I am.
So that's big. That's big. But no, from a football perspective for me, and I placed a couple of bets while I was in Wisconsin at Potawatomi. That's one of their casinos. Got a little couple prop bets that I think are going to be nice. So it's the game within the game. Like I don't know if you're into sports betting or if you're into gambling that much, but I think for me, placing bets and like having something else to watch other than Taylor Swift from time to time and the referees fuck up from time to time, I think that's the fun part. Yeah.
Yeah, I've never done any sports betting, so I don't. Tell me a little bit more about what kind of bets did you make at Potawatomi?
All right, so the bets I made at Potawatomi, obviously I bet the Chiefs to win. I bet the spread. I think the spread's 1.5, so they have to cover 1.5.
Okay.
So, and then I placed a couple fun bets, right? So I like the coin toss for me is always one that gets everybody fucking hyped. Now the one bet they didn't have was what color Gatorade the head coach will be showered with at the end of the game. That's kind of fucked up, but coin toss is fun. Gives you like fuck, you got a 50% chance of of winning, right? It's
Yeah,
heads or
yeah.
tails. There's not fucking three sides of the coin.
And what are you making? I mean, what would you make on that bet? The heads or tails? Like, say you chose heads, it goes heads. What do you make on that bet?
So we're in a fucking recession here, Pete. You know, we're not made of money over here. So I'm placing like $5-10 a bet. I put $30 for the Chiefs to win. That's supposed to pay out $98. The coin flip is supposed to be 10, and it's supposed to pay out 70. So
Oh, I mean, shit.
yeah, it's not bad.
It's not too bad. Hey,
But yeah, something out of nothing, right? But it's the game within the game, right? Like we enjoy the the game itself. A lot of fucking people come just for the commercials. What do you think
Oh,
about
yeah.
what do you think about the commercial aspect? Are you a commercial guy?
It used to be, yeah. Not so much. I mean, yeah, I'm definitely gonna be watching the game for the commercials, but I mean, what are we gonna see here? Like, I think we've seen it all, man. Like, what other commercials are they gonna come out with? Do you know anything that any?
So what I used to watch as a kid, right? And I've been watching football since I can remember. It used to be the big guys were like fucking Doritos,
Mhm.
Skittles. Skittles used to be make some wild fucked up ads. And then Anheuser Busch, they used to wait till fucking like the third quarter for Anheuser Busch to release the Clydesdales with the Dalmatian. They
Sure,
were like, "What's
sure.
it going to be this year?" Um, it's all about inclusion now, so like you're going to see a lot of ads that may or may not include other people. So it could be a culmination of things, but I'm excited to see what the commercials bring. And
Yeah.
sometimes they do like a little sneak preview of like um, shows that are going to be coming up like in the spring or whatever. So I think
Hmm.
that's kind of cool. So
And they had Usher performing, I believe, at halftime. I mean,
the performances get shittier and shittier.
yeah, they're shittier and shittier. I'm sorry. I'm nothing against Usher. I don't know.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I think Usher is phenomenal, right? I mean,
Yeah,
shit.
he's a great artist, but you know,
I think the halftime show is kind of a fucking farce. Like they
yeah.
take 45 fucking minutes to do a quick concert. Apparently, in any stadium, arena, fucking whatever you go to, the acoustics are dick for all of those.
What are the chances, or what do you think the odds of Taylor Swift making a special appearance on stage?
With
Do you
Usher,
think?
no.
Well, no, well, not with Usher, but maybe Usher gets off stage and Taylor comes on, and and everybody doesn't expect it. I mean,
I think that will deter. And again, I think NFL is all about ratings. The moment she steps on stage, poof, you're gonna lose because the Super Bowl is the biggest. I would say hand over fist. I think the Stanley Cup Finals are the better thing to watch, but the Super Bowl is one of the biggest things that people like tune into
yeah,
for one single day, right?
yeah,
So people don't like Taylor Swift. They're not a big fan of the Chiefs right now because we're winning, right? Nobody likes to see winners win, right?
yeah.
We did. Nobody liked seeing not Peyton Manning. Nobody likes seeing Tom Brady go back to back. Nobody likes seeing Tom Brady be a dynasty for 20 years. Excuse me, but yeah. So if she makes a fucking appearance on stage, hell will freeze over.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be
But
surprised. I don't know. I just feel like that could possibly happen.
no, it could absolutely. If anything is, sports are wild. Somehow, some way, something is going to happen that's going to make us just fucking jaw drop, right? And
Yeah,
that's the beauty of sports. But we're not a sports podcast. I'll get off this high horse because I don't want to talk about the Chiefs. I can talk about the Chiefs all day.
yeah, yeah.
But whenever you listen to this podcast, the Super Bowl hasn't happened yet. So you'll have to tune in next week for our Wednesday podcast to see if I'm either crying in a fucking corner or I'm just absolutely gloating. So stay tuned for that point. But Pete, what's in your glass right there, boss?
I am drinking RER. Get over here from RER Brewing out of Cambridge, Maryland. I believe Dakota picked up the same beer. Both drinking the same sour tonight, guys, and it's got copious amounts of banana, passion fruit, lactose, and pastry cream, and it is absolutely delicious.
So the fun fact, Pete's fucking tried just about everything. So he kind of takes the fun out of it for most of us fucking, slumming it in the TikTok industry. So I usually go to Pete and I'm like, yo, what beer do you recommend? Like I don't want to get shafted. I want the best beer. And he's like, dude, you gotta have RAR. Now, first and foremost, I call this beer RAR or whatever you want to call that, however you want to pronounce it. And that's not how it is. It's RAR. Never had this beer before. So I picked one up when I was in Wisconsin, which is why Pete, grabbed the same can. And I was like, all right, I have a lot of high hopes for, smoothie style sours, Berliner Weisses, sours in general, because those are the ones I like to drink the most. This fucking knocked my dick into the floor. Like this is a beautiful beer. This is delicious. Never had anything like it. I can't really compare it. I think it stands alone as one of the best Berliner Weisses. Would you agree?
Oh yeah, and it's got to be up in your, this brewery's now got to be up in your top 5.
I would even say
for
top.
sours.
I would say top 3, honestly, because
Yeah, you love Drecker, but I think Drecker's now this is beating Drecker, isn't it?
you know what? Do you know who it beat? It beat out 903.
Oh yeah, there's no question about that. I don't think they can come close.
Don't come at me with all those opinions, Pete. Like I'm still a baby when it comes to craft beer. Like
I know.
I'm still dipping my toes in the water, boss.
You're still getting there. You got still a lot of work to do. There's still a lot of breweries for you to try that you haven't tried yet.
I will say, so I was thinking about like my list of breweries, right?
Yeah.
I would say RAR, Energy City, Great Notion, probably Hop Butcher, and I can't really think of the fifth. I think the fifth is just kind of like a carousel. It kind of depends on my mood, right? If I'm in an IPA mood, if I'm in a fucking smoothie style sour, if I'm in a a fucking cream ale, fuck it, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think those are a pretty solid 4. But
yeah,
what's some of the sour beers or sour breweries that come to mind, and you're just like, fuck yeah, I know what I'm getting every time.
Yeah, RER of course. Imprint, they're making some super thick beers. Fourscore, which I know that you're trying to get your hands on. Fourscore, I know they don't distribute here to Milwaukee yet, but Fourscore makes.
I've only had one Fourscore and absolutely loved it. I think it was a collaboration with Spindle Tap.
Okay, yeah, that's very possible. Yeah, so RER, Fourscore, Imprint. Then I would say Spanish Marie. Spanish Marie would be another big time favorite. They're not the smoothie style sours; they're more traditional sours, but they're super super sweet and they're so easy to crush. I mean, they're only always 5%, and they do make thicker smoothie beers, but yeah, it's good shit, man. I mean, have you had any Spanish Marie yet or no?
Never. No, that's a new one for me.
Yeah, it's good shit.
So I got a question. So like, I know how I judge going into like let's say a hop shop or a grocery store that sells single cans or whatnot. Are you going in there with the intention on grabbing a style of beer, or are you basing it off of like collaborations you've seen on Instagram, or are you just going off of can art alone? Like how do you justify?
Yeah, style and can art. I'm going in there. I'm knowing what I want. Do I want a sour? Okay, I'll go in there with sour. If I see something that I've never seen before and the can art's dope as shit, I mean, honestly, I'm going to end up buying that beer because of the can art. But if I'm going in there for a style beer and I'm looking for New England IPA or, Berliner Weiss or Goza or something like that, I'm looking for that type of style beer. And regardless of if it's got cool can art or not, I mean, it depends on if I'm going to review it. I review beers on TikTok and Instagram. So it kind of depends on if I'm going to be taking that beer home to review. If not, if I'm just going to enjoy it, then can art, it's not always important to me. And I'm that guy that's always going on Untapped and looking at, what has everybody else said about this beer. It kind of helps me determine if I'm going to buy it or not.
I think I think you turned me on to the app Untapped, and that's something that if you haven't used it, if you haven't heard about it, there's an app called Untapped where you can go and literally type in literally any beer, anything from a fucking Busch Light to fucking Dragon's Breath. And it'll tell you the ABV, it'll tell you who it's made by, it'll tell you the IBUs if you want to know that, it'll tell you the style of beer that you're drinking. Some people have already added it to their the section of the beer that's listed, so you can see what it looks like, what it's poured out like. So if you're into like the Berliner Weiss thick style beers, you can see that. If you're not, then you at least know. Like last night, I had an RAR. It was I forgot what it was called, but the beer color was almost like a hint of green. Like it was very green. Yeah. So if that's something that like deters you from a beer, at least going ahead before you buy it, hey, this beer is going to be fucking wild. I don't want to buy it. Then at least you
Yeah.
know. So you can at least
Yeah.
visually see that. And I think that's a
Mm-hmm.
nice little app. But see, I'm one of those people that if I'm going in there, and I think that's why I kind of ask you is like, what kind of beers, like, what are the best breweries to get, right? Because I'm still like, I don't fucking know. Do you go in there, looking for certain breweries, or do you go in there like, hey, I'm going to try this time. I haven't had this one yet.
I'm going in there. I want to try something new. I mean, because I've already had so much of the same beer or something that I like. I'm literally going in there just kind of like, what am I going to do? Am I going to try something I've already had, or I'm going to stick on the safe side and pick something that I've had before, or adventure out and try a different brewery? Which I'm starting to do that a lot. I mean, this whole week on my TikTok and Instagram, I've been reviewing Ohio beer. So I'm just
Okay.
doing different beers I've never had before, and a lot of them are just 12-ounce cans. I try to review 16-ounce cans, but they don't always come like that. So this whole week has just been Ohio beers. I'm going to actually end up reviewing another one tomorrow. I mean, I got a couple more Ohio beers to review, but so far Ohio's hasn't let me down. They have some really great breweries out there.
That's a question I wanted to ask you. I think honestly, when I first met you, I was just curious because like I had seen your TikTok, and it's no secret. Like you had reviewed a decent amount of beers. I mean, if people can see on this podcast, whether if you're listening on Apple Podcast, Spotify, or you're seeing like an Instagram short, Pete's got a decent amount of labels behind him. Do you think, and you don't have to like shoot an answer yet, but I want you to think about this. Do you think you've had a beer from at least half of the country, state wise?
Uh,
And if you
Good
have,
chance. Yeah,
do you think you're about 75% of the way
I wouldn't
through?
say I wouldn't say 75%. I want to say I want to say 60%
Okay,
because
that's not bad.
there's a lot of breweries, man.
No, no, not breweries. I'm just saying. Do you think you've had a beer from every state?
Beer from every state. Okay, I'm sorry. A beer from every state. Absolutely. I'm trying to think what beers I haven't had yet. Wyoming is one. South Dakota, Wyoming, South Dakota, Utah, Idaho. It's four right there.
You had one from Alaska? That's got to be a tight. That's
I've
going to
had
be
one
wild.
from Anchorage. I've had Anchorage. That's in Alaska.
Damn.
I've had beer from Maine. I've had beer from Vermont, New Hampshire, Delaware. I've had a beer from Delaware. So South Carolina, maybe that's five. Mississippi, that's six. No, I've had beer from Alabama. Arkansas, I don't think of anything from Arkansas. Seven. So I want to say maybe 7 or 8 states I'm missing out of 50. Ain't too bad, right?
That's honestly insane. That's pretty impressive. And two is like, that's why I think the craft beer community together is just outrageous, right? So like, if you hit somebody up that's in, let's say, fucking Anchorage, Alaska, right? Hey, I want to get a beer. I can't get there. Can you, maybe swing one my way? That's super cool because we can't necessarily make it up there, but we can at least try it down here. And so that's pretty fucking sweet. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a wild stat to only have maybe seven states you haven't tried.
Yep.
That's insane. Hell yeah. What we're gonna pivot to next week is gonna be styles of beer, right? I don't think we've really decided what style of beer we're gonna go with yet. I kind of want to do it either like a bracket style or just kind of like pick one and kind of dive into it really short. Maybe have somebody on here that specializes in certain styles of beer obviously it would be nice to have Hop Butcher on here just to talk about their IPAs because they're world renowned. But I think that's kind of what we're going to dive into next week, don't you think, Pete?
Yeah. I think that's a great idea.
So it could be smoothie style sours, it could be sours, it could be stouts, but we don't know yet. We will definitely. I'll put a little teaser on our Facebook and Instagram about what we plan on talking about next week.
Yeah, definitely.
But I'm so glad to be back. Please tune in every Wednesday to the Beer Buzz podcast. Follow us on all social media. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We're not on Twitter because I'm not about that life. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what a
I
podcast
don't.
would tweet about.
I don't know, and I don't have a Twitter. I don't even know how to use that app. Honestly, I'd be
But
lost.
yeah, it's just like, what am I supposed to tweet about? Hey, like I had this beer, go get it. Great.
Yeah,
Yeah, follow us on all the socials. We have a Linktree account. If it's on our Instagram, that's where all of our stuff is linked. That's Craft Beer Pete _ on Instagram. Craft Beer Pete on TikTok. I'm at DColb12 on Instagram. My TikTok has changed to Brew City STL. But if you want to find us on all our socials, hit us up. And if you have questions, comments, or concerns, we're always open to our DMs. The Beer Buzz Podcast Facebook page is the best way to reach us if you want to talk to us about anything we want to discuss on the podcast, something we should have mentioned, something we didn't mention. And we're looking for sponsorships. And the table's open. I would love something beer related sponsorship wise, but, we're open to anything. But until next time, Pete, cheers, buddy.
yeah. Cheers, cheers, everybody. Cheers.